what we are listening for right now is the possibility of him talking about a general election in Italy next year, possibly taking place in March. Let's bring in Sofia Bettiza, who's in Rome for us, listening as well to the Prime Minister. And I wonder, Sofia, what kind of climate there is in Italy at the moment in terms of this election, how the parties stack up.
Yes, we've seen Italy's Prime Minister Paolo Gentiloni speaking there. That was a traditional end-of-year press conference, but this year is very significant because he's officially started the political campaign. Italy is going to go to the polls next March, probably on the 4th of March. Now, he said that the past 5 years have not been easy. He said that Italy has seen the biggest economic crisis since World War II, but things are looking up. Now, in terms of the election, it's going to be a very interesting vote because all the polls are saying that the outcome of the vote is going to be very uncertain. On one hand, you have Silvio Berlusconi, Italy's former Prime Minister, who's making a huge comeback. And on the other hand, you have the Five Star Movement, a new political party that was born only a few years ago as an anti-establishment party, and no one knows who's going to prevail.
Sofia, what is the biggest issue for Italians at the moment?
Well, I would definitely say that the biggest issue for Italy at the moment that is set to dominate the election is migration. Remember, Italy is the country where many people from Africa travel to in order to then go to the rest of Europe. This is a huge issue for Italy, and it's very significant to mention that the Northern League, which was until a few years ago just a marginal, minor, far-right party, is now expected to do very well at the upcoming election in March, and that is because of its tough stance on migration. So that is definitely set to dominate the campaign.
And what is the current government and the Prime Minister who we're watching now, what is his view on migration and his policy?
Well, his view on migration is different to the Northern League's. The current government has been trying for months to pass a law called Ius Soli to grant certain migrants who have been living here for a while Italian citizenship, an Italian passport. This has been hugely controversial in the past few months, and it actually hasn't been settled yet. The new government is going to have to deal with that, but this issue is hugely controversial.
How about the Prime Minister that we're watching? He's got quite a good reputation, I think, within Europe. What about amongst Italians? Because he's been there for a year now. What's his popularity like?
Well, it's very interesting because the last general election was in 2013, and he wasn't the Prime Minister at the time. In the past 5 years, Italy has seen 3 Prime Ministers come and go. Gentiloni was the third. Remember, last year Matteo Renzi was in charge. He had to resign because he lost a referendum, and Gentiloni had to step in. He wasn't expecting this responsibility. People thought he was going to last only a few months, but he seemed to be doing well. Italian people like him. They like the fact that he is the complete opposite of Silvio Berlusconi, if you will. He doesn't have a huge ego, he doesn't have a huge personality, he just seems like somebody who will get on with the job. And I think after years and years and years of political, let's say, turmoil, a lot of Italians like that and appreciate that.
Sofia, would you say that Italians are feeling more optimistic at the moment? I mean, there is still such high unemployment, issues with the economy too. And the reason I asked that, when I was last in Italy, I spoke to some young Italians who really were saying that they feel quite negative about their prospects. They feel that as a young Italian living there, there's not much for them in the country, and they all talked about leaving.
That's true. Unemployment is a big issue in the country, especially youth unemployment. I don't see that changing anytime soon, and that is a reason why a lot of young people you speak to here in Italy feel a sense of apathy when it comes to the election. Many say they will they don't know who to vote for to this day. And that is also part of the reason why the Five Star Movement, which is the anti-establishment political party I mentioned earlier, is doing so well, because they represent something new, something different, something fresh, something that a lot of young people here feel that they desperately need. So I think that a lot of younger Italians will cast their vote for the Five Star Movement, who's promising new things.
Sofia, it is shaping up to be an interesting election and a couple of months of quite campaigning ahead for Italy. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll let you get back to the press conference. Just waiting to hear, as I mentioned, whether or not we'll get a date from the Prime Minister for those elections. But the speculation in Italian media is that it will be March the 4th.